One study I found indicates that the average wedding in the US costs about $35,000. So I worked with my AI assistant Tiara to find ways to lower that number. And if you skip this video, you could be throwing away thousands of dollars on the big day. So Tiara, what should we cover first here?
Let's start with the venue.
Sounds good. So renting a dedicated wedding venue can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $11,000 on average, depending on the location and the amenities. But by choosing a non-traditional space like a local brewery or community center or even a small museum, you can avoid many wedding-focused markups. In this strategy, it often results in a 30 to 50% reduction in venue fees, potentially saving you, thousands of dollars. So instead of paying $8,000 at a wedding venue, which is known to overcharge because people will spend it, they know it's your wedding, so they're gonna overcharge you, you might find a unique spot for $4,000 or $5,000 instead. Community centers or even big residential properties, sometimes they'll even throw in tables, chairs, and basic decor for free or at a minimum charge to reduce your costs. So think about spaces that fit your personal style, but aren't used exclusively for large-scale events. Not only will this keep your costs down, but it also makes the wedding feel more intimate. Now, it's worth mentioning here that when someone picks a venue, one of the next big things that they focus on, which is also pricey, is the food. And I found a true, what I'd say, game-changing idea for making your menu both crowd-pleasing and budget-friendly that we will cover in just a little bit, so stay tuned here.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so Tiara, what's the next one here?
Try to adjust your wedding date or time.
So many reception venues, they charge higher rates on peak wedding weekends or during popular seasons, with average venue costs reaching up to about $12,800. So by choosing an off-season month, often December or February, you can reduce those fees by about 10 to 25% or more. And some venues even offer discounts if you hold your celebration on a weekday versus a Saturday, since this is usually lower demand day. Now this shift, it can instantly shave thousands off your budget. So if your dream site runs $10,000 for Saturday in June, you could actually pay $7,500 or less by booking it on a Friday in January. Now you'll need to give guests ample notice if you pick a weekday or non-traditional month, but the savings can be absolutely worth it. Plus, you'll likely have far less competition for vendors, which can help you choose your favorite photographer or caterer without worrying if they'll be booked on your desired date. Now, before we move on here, one quick favor that I have to ask. If you could, please subscribe to the channel to help me help others with their finances as well. All right, Tiara, what's next here?
Let's focus on the dress.
Yes, and this is a big deal and an expensive one as well. So fun fact, on our wedding day, my wife, she wore a nice non-wedding official white dress that she found the weekend before, and she looked beautiful. And I know some people have this, grandiose picture of a wedding in their head, but sometimes you really don't need that. That said, wedding gowns, they typically can range from $1,500 to $2,500 on average, not including alterations.
Damn!
Now, if you're on a tighter budget, you can consider purchasing what they call a sample dress or buying a pre-owned dress from a recent bride who only wore it once, or try a company like Nearly Newlywed online that was featured on Shark Tank to get a huge discount. So this approach, it could land you a designer gown at a fraction of the retail price, potentially saving you $500 or $1,000 or even more in typical costs. And you can also check major bridal sales where boutiques clear out last season's inventory. Alterations, they can add anywhere between $200 to $500. So choose a dress that, requires fewer adjustments if possible, and do it early if possible to avoid rush fees as well. And now I gotta say, Tiara, that was actually a pretty good one because I know that's a huge stressor for a lot of people. But what do we get into next here?
The dress is stressful, but so are decorations. Let's discuss those.
Yeah, so couples sometimes spend thousands on floral centerpieces, special linens, and other decorative touches, but by taking a DIY approach or choosing a more minimalist style, you can slash those costs by up to like 70%. If a decorator might charge, $2,000 for centerpieces, you might find DIY solutions or greenery-based centerpieces for a couple $100. Candles, string lights, or simple decor, they can look just as inviting as more elaborate pieces, and they're often easier on the wall. So buying items in bulk, like mason jars or fairy lights, and recruiting your friends for a craft night to help can really save you from paying a premium just for the labor. And if you're going minimal, focus on a few accent areas like the ceremony arch or, the head table, instead of overdoing every corner of the venue. You'll spend far less without sacrificing Instagram-worthy backdrops or the sheer awe when people see your setup.
Let me guess. Now it's time for me to tell you the next one.
Tiara, you really are super intelligent.
Duh. All right, let's focus on the music.
Okay. Yeah, and this is quite literally the life of the party, so don't underestimate it. Now, a professional DJ or live band, they can set you back anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 depending on their experience level and the event length. So to save some money, consider creating a custom playlist on a streaming service. All you really need is quality speakers, a Wi-Fi connection, and maybe a friend or a family member to help handle those announcements. Now this approach, it can trim your music budget by, up to 80%. Now, if you'd like some more energy at the wedding, but you want to pay less than a full band or something like that, look for a local acoustic musician willing to play for a shorter set. Now you might even mix the two approaches, right? So you kick off the cocktail hour with acoustic tunes, and then you switch to the curated playlist for dancing. So as long as you test the equipment beforehand and somebody, is kind of keeping an eye on it, you'll have a solid music setting without going broke.
Moving on, how about a low-cost invitation?
Yeah, so this isn't a huge cost, but in my opinion, it's kind of ridiculous to spend so much money on something that most people are just gonna throw away anyway. So custom paper invitations with multiple envelopes or pieces of paper within them, they can run $5 to $10 per invite, which really adds up quickly if you have a large guest list. So switching to digital invitations can drastically reduce or even eliminate those printing and postage fees. Or if you still want physical invites, print fewer inserts, like skipping the RSVP card for an online RSVP, and that way you can shave off $1 to $3 off of each set. Now that might sound small, but for 150 invites, you could save $150 to $450 depending. And you can also design your templates using inexpensive online tools, then just print them at a local copy shop if you'd like something more tangible. Also, some couples, they choose virtual save the dates first to save room in the budget for a more formal paper invitation later, which is a great idea to save too. Now, the key is deciding what truly matters for your style, and skipping these extras, are really things that the guests are probably barely gonna notice.
Time for me again.
You got it, Tiara.
This one is big. How about negotiating with vendors?
Yeah, you're right on that one. So this can be a big win if you do it right. So vendors know wedding costs vary widely, and most are open to hearing your budget constraints. So if a photographer quotes you $3,000, but you only have $2,400 to spend, let them know that. You might get a smaller package or fewer hours of coverage for a smaller price, but that can still produce great results. And comparing multiple quotes also gives you the leverage to request discounts or added services. So suppose that one caterer offers a lower rate than another. Well, mention that difference to your top choice and see if they can match or come close to that price. It's also worth asking if vendors provide bundled services. So some venues, for instance, they'll partner with preferred florists or DJs and may cut you a deal if you hire both of them. But keep a close eye here though, and check the references closely, because you really never know what happens, the deals behind closed doors. And the bottom line is that it never hurts to be upfront about your budget goals. You might be surprised how far vendors will go to accommodate you, especially if you're gathering different quotes.
All right, I know you want me here. Let's talk about reducing the guest list.
Ooh, Tiara, that can cause some drama. That definitely can.
If you want to remove someone from the guest list, they can't be that important to you.
Okay, well, that's a fair point. So let's talk about it. So many experts note that cutting your guest list is one of the fastest ways to save money, since you'll be paying for fewer meals and less space overall. So for instance, if your catering budget is $6,000 for 100 guests, which is $60 per person, slicing it down to 75 instantly frees up $1,500. Plus you'll reduce the chair rentals, the invitations, and even the size of the venue that you need. Truth is, narrowing the list to immediate family and close friends can cut total costs by 25% or more. Now, the trade-off is that you might not invite every distant relative or coworker, but the result is a more intimate event. And just make a plan to celebrate with anyone you couldn't include in your wedding, maybe with a casual dinner or a small party afterwards, so that they don't feel left out if you think that it's going to be a problem. And next,
I got this, Ron. You can also consider reworking floral arrangements.
Yeah, so full floral arrangements can be costly. Bouquets, centerpieces, and accents, they can run over $2,000. Now, if you swap fresh, expensive flowers for locally grown seasonal flowers, you might cut that number by up to half. And you can also supplement smaller bouquets with greenery or branches or non-floral items like lanterns and candles, which can save you hundreds more. For instance, if your florist quotes $200 per centerpiece for 10 tables, that's a total of $2,000. If you integrate greenery and candles, you might reduce that cost to $100 per table, which will slice your bill to $1,000. Another approach is repurposing florals from the ceremony to the reception, such as moving an arch arrangement to the head table, for example. These small shifts can add up to considerable savings while still giving your wedding the warm, inviting atmosphere that you're really looking for.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, Tiara.
It's time to talk about the food.
Yes. So I mentioned this earlier, so let's cover it. So catering alone can easily take up 30% of your entire wedding budget. And many couples end up spending $4,000 or more on food and beverages. So to save money, just consider swapping a plated dinner for a buffet or food trucks or even family style servings. This move could cut your catering costs by 20 to 30%. So for example, if a plated dinner for 100 guests costs $60 a person, which is $6,000, a buffet might bring that down to $4,200 or less. You can also reduce expenses by offering a limited bar instead of a full open bar, or by supplying your own alcohol if the venue permits. And some couples choose to feature just beer and wine along with a signature cocktail. By customizing menus and focusing on crowd-pleasing comfort foods rather than extravagant dishes, you'll keep your guests satisfied and your catering bill will be a fraction of what it could have been.
Hey, you know what they might like?
What's that, Tiara?
The video about saving money on a wedding ring.
Yes, actually, I was going to bring that up, but thank you, Tiara. So if you're planning for a wedding, you may be planning on buying a ring too. So this video right here can help you save a ton of money on that, or you can watch this video that YouTube thinks that you'll like instead. But before you go, please make sure to subscribe to the channel to unlock financial success one AI chat at a time. Thanks for watching.